A home holds a lifetime of memories, and when that home becomes part of an estate, it is never just a transaction. It is emotional, it is complex, and it carries real weight. Today, we're talking about the realities of an estate sale and what families need to know before they find themselves in that position. For nearly a century, Bosley has been helping to shape the landscape of Canadian real estate. This podcast is an extension of that legacy, our way of staying connected to what matters most to you. Join us as we sit down with leading voices from across the industry and beyond to explore the ideas, trends, and stories that move real estate forward. Whether you're an agent, investor, homeowner, or just curious about the market, there's something here for you. Hey everyone, and welcome to Like a Boz, the podcast where we bring real conversations that are shaping the real estate industry. I'm your host, Christan Bosley, president and broker of record of Bosley Real Estate. And with us today, we have Mr. Patrick Rocca. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
I have to just be honest, I'm having some weird flashbacks to a childhood, but we're here today, so this is exciting. Patrick has been with our company for over 30 years, with about 15, if not more of those years as our number one realtor. Tons of experience, massive market share in Leaside over the years. What keeps you going?
I love the business. I love what I do. I love the people. It does get tiring at times, but I come into work and I just feel like it's my second home.
Okay. Can I ask a little bit about your journey into real estate?
Sure.
How did that happen?
Well, I come from a real estate background. My father was a developer, excuse me, in the East Coast, commercial, residential, and I grew up around it. I grew up going to construction sites, housing, townhomes, hotels, shopping malls. Never really thought about getting into real estate. When I came to Toronto and to go to university, I took business, and I transferred from the University of New Brunswick, and I was out of whack a couple of courses, so I finished early for my degree, and I had from December to May till I graduated. My father said, "Why don't you take your real estate course?" Here I am.
Okay, amazing. And I think your father and Tom, my father, have some history as well, right?
Yep.
So that's how you came to be at Bosley?
That's how I came to be at Bosley, yeah.
Okay, and you just never left?
Never left.
We must have done something right. And are your children going into real estate?
No. My daughter would do really well at it, I think. But no, I tried to get them, but
Not at this point.
not at this point. My son's a lawyer, my daughter's doing her thing, and no.
Okay. And so we're going to talk today a little bit about estate sales.
Mhm.
How is it that you came to be such an expert on the topic?
Well, it's interesting. I've been doing this, like you said, for over 30 years. So a lot of my clients started out, when I moved into the area in Leaside and Davisville, they were, in their late 20s, early 30s, and they had family here. And now that they're older, that they're my age, late 50s, 60, their parents are getting older.
Mm-hmm.
So they're selling family homes for various reasons. Obviously, one is an estate.
Okay. So the natural progression of your demographic.
Correct.
In your
Yeah.
market area.
Yeah, a big part of my demographic now is the older demographic, and I do a lot of estate sales, unfortunately, but they're a fact of life.
They are. And they are quite different from the typical transaction. So why don't we start by explaining what an estate sale is and how they're unique from your perspective as an agent?
Yeah, they're different transactions for sure. There's a lot more. Real estate in general is an emotional business, but obviously when you're dealing with an estate sale, there's memories, there's years, there's lots of history, and I think that's the big thing. So you're dealing with death. You're not dealing with the actual owner. You're dealing with their family. So there's a lot of emotion and memories that go into it. So it has to be handled correctly. You have to have the right people.
Okay. And I think we often move through the real estate transaction with misconceptions about all sorts of different things. So do you find that there are any common misconceptions when it relates to estate sales?
Yes, there can be. And I mean, I think the most common one is it's an estate sale. So it's an old house or it needs a lot of work or it could be possibly a good deal because the people are passed on and the family wants to unload it. So
Mm.
those are all misconceptions.
Okay.
Because I've dealt with estate sales where the house has been renovated and the person's just passed.
Right. Hmm. Okay. So let's start at the very beginning. So an estate sale obviously means that the owner of the property has passed. When someone passes away and real estate is involved, what is the very first step the family or the executor should take?
Usually, the first step is they get in touch with their lawyer because there's usually a will. You hope there's a will, and then the lawyer will instruct the executor or executrix to, reach out to a realtor, maybe their preferred realtor or someone that they know, and get opinions of value based on the time of death versus the time when they bought the property. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but usually the first step is through a lawyer.
Okay. And have you ever been involved in a circumstance where there wasn't a will?
Yes, it can get cloudy.
Right.
It can get very cloudy. It's not very often. We had a situation 2 years ago where, unfortunately, great clients of mine, their son passed away accidentally, and he was younger and he did not have a will. So
Hmm.
it's a bit more complicated.
Right. Okay. So assuming that there's a will, assuming that there's an executor, what role does the executor play and how do they engage with you as a realtor?
So the executor's role, really, I mean, it's not just to dispose of the estate or the property. The executor has a key role, and that's to make sure that they do their job to the best of their ability to maximize the value of the estate for the beneficiaries.
Hmm.
If there are multiple beneficiaries involved, if I've got one right now where the executrix has two beneficiaries that are involved, and they're both family members, so she has to prove to them that, should we renovate the place? The gentleman passed away in the house.
Hmm.
Should they renovate it? Should they not renovate it? How much money? And so she takes direction.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, I think it's an executor's job to do, like, don't cut corners because it could come
Right.
back to bite you.
Right. Okay. In the conversation, the example you just gave, you did mention that the gentleman passed in the property. How is that dealt with? Does that have to be disclosed in a transaction? Do you find that impacts value?
I mean, does it have to be disclosed? If it's asked, of course, it has to be disclosed. It depends on the way the person passed away. I mean,
Okay.
natural causes are natural causes. People pass away daily.
Hmm.
If it was a murder, if there was something more horrendous involved, yes, absolutely has to be disclosed.
Right. And that would surely impact value, I would imagine.
Depending on the buyer, depending on the nationality, there's various cultures that the first thing they'll ask you when they see an estate is,
Mm.
did the person pass away there?
Right.
And if they did, it's a no.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So the executor handles probate, correct?
The lawyer handles probate,
Okay.
and if probate is needed.
Thank you.
So what we're finding more recently is, and it's actually ideal, is that if probate's not needed. So in other words, if the person that passed had owned the property when it was the old registry system,
Okay.
1990 or earlier, you can do what they call first dealings exemption. So
Okay.
you don't have to go through the probate process. You have to apply for the exemption. It's 4 weeks as opposed to 2 to 4 months now for probate. It has been as long as 6 to 8 months.
Hmm.
So first dealings skips a lot of the stuff if the person's been in the house a long time.
So if the owner's been there for a very long time, let's call it since the 90s, they can apply for this exemption. That will probably take 2 to 4 weeks. Then by the time you prep the property, it's really a fairly normal listing cycle for you, right? As a realtor?
Depends. I'm dealing with one right now where I met with them in November, and they're not doing first dealings, so it's different. So it'll be a longer cycle. But yeah, the again, depending on when the first dealings is applied for. So for example, if you apply for first dealings in May or June
Mhm.
and you get it in July, you're not
Yeah.
listing till September, right?
Right.
Depending on the product.
And it's the lawyer that applies for first dealings?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you're not exempt
Mhm.
on that first dealings, then you go through
You go
probate.
through probate.
And that timing is, you said, kind of 4 to 6
It's
months?
all over the map. It's been as long in the past, going back a year, 6 to 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing them now come in 2, 3 months.
Okay. I guess it also depends on how complicated the estate
Correct.
is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how efficient the lawyer is. I
Right.
had one just recently where we didn't have a very efficient lawyer,
Right.
and it took 4 months. Probably should have been 2,
Okay.
but it happens.
And so you have this inevitable time delay on
Hmm.
either side.
Hmm.
How do you help families decide when the right time to sell is? So you just used an example about, perhaps getting probate in July. I'm going to go on the assumption that it probably depends on the type of product and the geographic location, but what type of factors are you looking at to help families make that decision?
I think it's the same as any other product in the marketplace that you're putting on. I mean, obviously, spring is ideal, fall is ideal, summer, depending on the product, you probably try to avoid.
Hmm.
But again, it's something that with probate, it's hard to time it.
Okay. Okay. So does an estate sale differ in how you look at your strategy and pricing when looking at properties?
Not really.
Not really.
No, no.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the product. I mean, I can be going into a house that's an estate sale and it needs quite a bit of work. I deal with properties that the older people are still living in the house and it needs quite a bit of work. So it
Hmm.
really, it's all pretty much the same.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. So I know that originally when we spoke, you spent a great deal of time talking about the emotion behind estate
Hmm.
sales, right? So lots of memories in the home, lots of, family members who are often impacted by the sale. So how do you support families during the time?
It's difficult. I mean, usually you're dealing with one family member,
Okay.
which is ideal. You do get situations where you're dealing with multiple family members, but there's usually one that's the lead. So it's just helping them get through the process in terms of, telling them what they need to do in terms of getting stuff out of the house, helping them with that. I have professional packers and movers that help people go through stuff
Okay.
um, to alleviate time. So I mean, it's more that. I mean, there are instances where you do have family tensions. They say money is the root of all evil,
They
and
sure
I've
do.
and I've seen some interesting cases.
Okay.
Not so good, but I'm dealing with one right now where the the brother wants to buy the house, and I've been clear with the sister, who's the executrix, that you can't give them a deal because there's 2 other beneficiaries, and
Hmm.
if they find out you give them a deal, it could come back to bite
You
you.
can come back and
Yeah.
sue the person,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's not going well for the brother.
Not right now. No.
Okay. And so in that situation, do you propose you go to market to find market value and then negotiate with the brother? Like, how does he have to be part of that?
I think in this situation, and we've gone back and forth talking, or I've gone back and forth talking with the executrix, and I basically said, listen, here's what you're likely to get when you go to market.
Hmm.
Um, if he pays you that, give him first right of refusal and give him a time frame.
Okay.
Otherwise, we go to market and he's just another buyer.
Okay. All right. So solutions, right?
Hmm.
I can't imagine that you've only had one family disagree on how to move forward.
Nope.
How do you typically navigate the emotions and the family strife in there? Like, what are your priorities as you're talking to people?
For me personally, my priority is much like with all my clients. I'm there to navigate, advise, and I'm there to get them top dollar. So I'm hoping that I'm not playing favoritisms with anybody, and I want them all to know that I'm treating them all fairly, and it's my goal to get them as much money as I
Right.
can.
And so, communication wise, I know you said there's often a family member that's the lead on it, or you're communicating directly with the executor.
Yeah.
In the instance where there are multiple family beneficiaries or people involved, is it just like clear communication across the board? do you have strategies and systems in place to help navigate that so that everybody's on the same page and so that you can play that neutral role?
Again, in most cases where there is two executors,
Okay.
um, usually one will step back and let
Okay.
one take the role
Mm-hmm.
and communicate with all of us, right?
Okay.
So I've never, touch wood, had a situation where it's gone sour like that.
Okay. Good. Happy to hear that.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, what is something that families going through this process don't often understand until they start it?
It's the time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot involved. There's probate. There's getting everything in line. It's getting the house ready, going through. I mean, I know personally when my father passed away, just going through the stuff in the house,
Mm.
and it's just not something that you do on a weekend.
No.
It takes multiple evenings and weekends and time, and there's a lot involved, and it's time consuming. It is time consuming because it's not like you're just chucking stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through every little detail.
Yes. So I will say from my perspective, I'm super grateful because my parents decided to make it into kind of a fun family activity. So about 4 years ago, they called the entire family, grandkids and everything, to the house. My mom put on this big dinner and drinks, and we made a fun night, and we literally went through all of the family memories, all three categories. So I got really lucky, actually, because I think
Yeah.
most family members end up doing it after
Yep.
one of their parents passes, right? And it's a very different experience, I think, in that situation.
Yep. No, they get burdened, and I mean, even in instances where it's not done before the person passes away, there's still a litany of people that have to get in line, like the grandkids, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever's the executor is saying, okay, who wants this and who wants this, and it's a process. And
Yeah.
it's you have to be patient. This isn't like you have to understand what the family's going through.
What are the most common mistakes that executors or families make when selling a property?
Very similar to what most people make when they're selling a property: not taking the proper advice, not getting proper legal advice, not listening to their realtor,
Mm-hmm.
hiring the wrong realtor,
Mm-hmm.
timing, understanding the market. It's a big job, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like anybody selling a house. I mean, if you're selling an estate, the executor has to have an understanding of what's going on and listen. I mean, there's people out there that will advise, and
Right.
he or she has to take that under consideration.
Okay. And so in the instance where the home requires a bit of an investment to yield top dollar,
Yeah.
where do the funds come from for that in an estate sale? Because typically, if it were resale, we would expect the agent and the seller to have an arrangement, but most of the time, 90% of the time, it is the seller that's paying to make those investments in the property to yield the positive result, right? So in
Correct.
this case, does the estate pay for that? How does that work?
Again, it really depends on how the estate was set up, how the banking is set up, because
Mm.
what happens is when someone passes, and if it has to go to probate, automatically
Everything's frozen.
everything's frozen.
Yeah.
The bank accounts are frozen. I dealt with this last year, where the bank accounts got frozen. The sister could not access to pay for stuff that needed to be done to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be very, very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the executor or executrix foots the bill and gets paid back from the estate.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good to know. So, besides, I know we've talked a lot about executors, we've talked a little bit about lawyers. So, what other professionals do families need on their team besides a good realtor and lawyer to help bring that to fruition?
accountant, obviously.
Okay.
Like I said, a declutterer. I have a fabulous person that has helped many families
Mm-hmm.
go through many years of stuff and cut that month or two of decluttering down
Mm-hmm.
to a few weeks. So, I mean, I think that's what you need. You need a strong team of people. I hate to be morbid, but the gentleman that passed away in the condo, he was there for a few days. So you need a professional. You need professionals like that can come in and sanitize and do all that kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot to it.
Okay. So, having a good team. And is it fair to say that most of your clients develop their team through your resources?
Yes.
Okay. Amazing.
Or I meet my client through
One of the other
one of the
resources.
other resources.
Okay. And so what have estate sales taught you about real estate and people?
It's it's the circle of life, right?
Mhm.
It's interesting. It's you're dealing with families, and you have to have empathy and compassion, and it's not that real estate in general is just a transaction. It's just not. This is not a transaction. It's people's life. It's people's memories. That's very
Right.
important.
And so how do you maintain your positive mindset as you are dealing, as kind of a niche at this point in estate sales? Because you are surrounding yourself with grieving families and challenging situations.
I find it less challenging than dealing with normal sales
Okay.
because the people are coming to you. They're relying on you. They trust you. Um, they don't fight you or rarely fight you,
Hmm.
and they listen to you,
Okay.
which, as we know, it doesn't happen a lot in our business.
There are some difficult moments,
Yeah,
yes. And so is it fair to say that it's made you like a little bit softer as a human?
maybe. Yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah, yeah. Well, I had someone tell me last week that I'm not the big tough guy that I thought I was.
Only just realizing this now.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Well, here are my closing questions for you. Are you ready? This
Yes.
is my favorite part.
Okay.
Besides the fact that I've known you since I was 8, I feel like I might know the answer to these, but I also think you might shock me. So, what's one lesson you've learned in your career that you wish you had known earlier?
Well, the big one is, I mean, fortunately, I can do it now. I'm more established in my career, but it's basically to not be a slave to everybody, and there's a time you can say no
Hmm.
if it's not the right fit or the right business.
Setting
Uh,
boundaries.
Setting boundaries, 100%. Yeah, setting boundaries is definitely very important.
I will say, though, as somebody who has been a very substantial mentor to me in my career, that one of the things that I've always admired about you is that you have always had very good boundaries around schedule, routine, and family.
Yeah,
So do you feel you have that more now?
I feel it's different now. I
Okay.
mean, when I was younger and when I was starting in my career, it was I was starting in my career, and it was tougher to set those boundaries. But it was a rule that I was my wife. I was home every night for dinner at 5 o'clock,
Hmm.
and I would have dinner, and then I would go back out, and I spent time with my son at the rink, and those things were always priorities. So now when you're older, yeah, there's still boundaries, but they're different boundaries, right? And family for me is still the number one priority. I mean, if it
Right.
comes down to it, I mean, I remember telling clients, I'm sorry, you
Hmm.
know, them being mad at me because I couldn't do something because I had something with my kid.
Hmm.
Sorry, it's the way it is, right?
Yeah. And that we don't always see that
Hmm.
in this business. So I always found that um, very admirable, something that I took from your book when I was in sales having young babies. Although I will say that I didn't last that long. I went into a stable management 9 to 5 shortly
Oh
thereafter.
no.
So tell me, what book is on your current reading list?
I'm not a big book guy. I'm not one of these motivational book readers. I do read. I do read a lot. My reading is very different. I'm a big historical guy. I like reading history.
Yes.
Um, and I read every day, but I read differently. I was at the gym for an hour and a half before our talk today, and I was on the bike for an hour 20, and I read the whole time online, just sports articles and stuff like that. I'm a big sports guy, so it's different
Small
reading.
snippets.
Yeah,
It's funny that you say this, though, because I have a distinct memory of Anne, my mother, telling me that you secretly read every business book that she suggested you read.
I may have back then.
Yes. But now your priorities
I
are
I
different.
don't read. It's funny you say that because I have books, and my kids have bought me books, and my wife has bought me books. But I've just found in the last 5 7 years, I don't read those types of books.
Hmm.
I just read different stuff, and
So, like, what's your favorite historical book?
I love reading local stuff. Like, I mean, stuff on Lee's side. My colleague Chantel bought me a nice book on the history of Niagara on the Lake. And,
Oh.
I have a place in Florida, Pompano Beach. I love history. I love old pictures. I love, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. If you were asked to give a TED Talk, what topic would you choose?
Probably work-life balance.
Okay.
Because I think that's very important. It all goes back to that. And I think it's always gone back to that for me, even in the beginning. You mentioned how structured. I mean, I am very structured. I'm here in the morning at 8. I work. I go to the gym in the afternoon. I come back and work. And, I try to spend my, evenings at home or, my weekends with my wife or my children when they were younger. So I think the work balance, life balance is very important.
I agree. And actually, for this month's book club, we're reading The 5 Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom. Because as you know, in real estate, and I have no doubt that you fell into this trap just a little bit through your career in those 15 plus years as number one, there's such a heavy focus on production and transaction volume in this business that everything else kind of melts away. So we're trying to bring that back, that work-life balance, that ability to enjoy life.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's ways of enjoying life. I mean, for me, enjoying life, I know it sounds crazy, but my wife will say to me on a Sunday, "You're going to the office?" So I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's like my second home.
Yeah.
I come here and I'll prepare for Monday, or I'll do something. I have to feel productive, and I think that goes back to when I was a kid. My father went into the office like Monday to Friday, obviously, but Saturdays and Sunday mornings he was always in his office, and I think that's something that's just growing on me.
Yes.
So.
I also hear you when you say it's like a second home. I too can sometimes be found in the office on a Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
It's just comforting a little bit. And the routine is nice.
Yep.
And starting the week prepared is like a whole different mindset.
100%.
Yeah. So besides your job, which clearly does bring you joy, what are the things in life that bring you joy?
I love to travel. And my family.
Okay.
I mean, I love going to Italy. I love going to Florida, believe it or not. But I mean, I love to travel.
Okay.
And that's
favorite place you've traveled to?
Favorite place? Oh my God, there's been so many. I love Europe, Italy, Spain, Portugal, you name it. I mean, I love it.
Okay.
Hawaii. I mean, I've loved Hawaii. I mean, there's places that I haven't been that I'm not quite sure if I want to go, but my kids are saying, "Dad, you should go." Like, I mean, I should probably go to New Zealand or Australia. I have a very good friend there who's been after me for 20 years to go. And it's just too far.
Go in the winter because it's their summer.
But you can't go for a weekend.
No. Go for a couple months. Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. At some point I will.
Okay, well, listen, Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your really valuable insights and expertise.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, I'm Christan Bosley. This has been Like a Boss. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might find it valuable. We've got more conversations coming your way with incredible guests across design, finance, wellness, tech, and more, all through the lens of real estate. A special thank you to our set design sponsors, Stage Right.